Hi, back again. Now this is the dough, and I'm going to cut it. As I said before, you want the top to be, so I'm going to go just like about this much. Can you see the ratio? So this will be the bottom and this will be the top.
So just a little less than half.
Yeah.
For the bottom.
So I'm just going to roll this up. Because we're gonna do the bottom first. Now, the top it's all layered, but I learned from my cousin Millie in Argo, Illinois, that the ladies here in America were doing it the bottom differently. They didn't want to go through all of the layering, so they do it kind of like a puff pastry. So it's almost the same, but a little different. I'm gonna put some flour here. Okay. Martha Stewart says only to go one way.
And we all listen to Martha.
Yes. It takes a while for it to open up, and then all of a sudden it'll be easier to get it to roll out.
And that's one of the reasons that Mom lets it rest, is because the gluten then in the flour relaxes, and it makes this part of the process a little bit easier. And the whole idea of doing the dough is to stretch it really thin.
Yes.
And I guess, Mom, if you hadn't left it a little bit sticky, it wouldn't open up as well if there was too much flour in it, right?
Oh,
it would
right.
be kind of brittle almost.
It's really kind of a funny thing. I know it's chemistry, but, and I don't understand chemistry, but it is so important, the ratio of flour to water. And
yeah.
See, now it's a little easier. It's not something you can do quickly. You have to be very patient. So if you're going to do a Birick, plan on a couple of hours. Kathy bought me this for her father one day for Mother's Day. Do you remember that, Kat?
Yeah, I do.
She went out and he told her to get a present for me, and she got me this lovely, lovely. Is that granite or is that
marble? I think.
Marble.
Yeah. Sure is heavy.
Yeah, and then now that I've got this granite counter, it makes rolling out so easy. Everything has to be cold. To make it easier.
Are there some women, I don't know, from the village, did they ever do the rolling out on a table with a tablecloth, like a cotton?
They might have, but what they used, what my mother always used, was a broomstick.
Oh, to roll it out,
Yeah,
yes.
they rolled it with a broomstick.
I've
And
got
when they
one.
would do it, they'd have this long stick, and they would do, I wonder if I have one here. No, I don't. But they would put like this, they put the dowel here, and then they flip the thing, and then they go like this, and they flip it over, and
then
the
they
dough
roll
would
some
turn
more.
over.
Yeah.
It was an art.
So if anybody feels they want to do it really authentically, you
Yeah.
can get a dowel,
Yeah.
like maybe a 1/2 inch dowel or an
Yeah,
inch
she get
dowel.
get a dowel about so big.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is the new way for the bottom layer only. You don't spare the butter.
No.
Okay, what you do then, you try to make it even.
Yeah, that is kind of a puff pastry fold.
Yeah,
The envelope fold.
right.
And Mom, that's regular melted butter, not clarified, right? You leave
Just-
solids in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now you take a small dish, because my mother used to put the bottom, which was the smaller, on a small dish, and then she put the top one on a larger dish. So I'm gonna try to follow. Here's a small one. So we put this one here, and then we're gonna just do a little of this. And we put it right back in the fridge. God bless you. Okay, now we're gonna do the bottom.
The top. It just clicked. I thought, oh yeah. Okay.
Upside down.
Is it soft?
Yes.
Good. There's nothing to me that feels nicer than really smooth dough. So squishy and smooth.
I found that when I could tell my dough wasn't just right was when I would be rolling it out, it would tear.
Oh, even when you,
And
okay.
I knew then that I didn't have the right mixture of water and
Well, see, that's happened to me,
flour.
and I never thought that I should have just
Yeah.
scrapped it.
I know. You can do it, you put it together, but it's
But
not
it's
as
a
good.
lot more work, isn't it?
It's a finicky dough.
And we're lucky today. We see out in the harbor of Vancouver. Isn't that beautiful? But we've got a beautiful sunny day, and it's nice and dry, so it's a good day for baking. Can you talk a little bit about, for the kids, about the village? It was Slimnica, right?
mhm.
Can you tell me a little
It
bit
was,
about what life in the village was like for your mom?
They're very primitive. They had the well. It wasn't a well, actually. It was a fountain.
A spring?
It was on the side of the mountain. Someone years ago had installed a faucet there, and it connected to water coming down from the mountain because they were right in like a little area surrounded by mountains.
Yeah.
And it was the Gramos Mountains in Macedonia. And they what was I saying about it, Kathy?
Oh, about they had the well and
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
pretty
they had the
primitive.
well. And as I told you before, their oven was outdoors, and it was you didn't just turn a knob and get
Yeah.
heat. And then
How about animals? What kind of animals did
well,
they
they
have?
had goats.
So the feta cheese from the sheep and the
They
goats?
they made their own feta,
Okay.
and then they had cows, and they had pigs. And if somebody in the village slaughtered one of the animals, like at Christmas time,
Yeah.
they would share it with the whole village.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was really, things were not easy there. It was a hard life. You didn't just get anything by, like I said, turning a knob or pushing a button. Everything was difficult. That's what my mother would say. Everything was hard.
Remember when you came, you brought her here to Vancouver
Oh, yes.
for the first time. What was it that she said as you were driving up?
We were crossing the Lionsgate Bridge. I said, "Oh, Ma, look, aren't those mountains beautiful?" She said, "Beautiful nothing. They're hard work."
And they worked for her. 'Cause
Yeah.
she worked, well, before she got married, or even after, she worked in the fields all day.
And she had to go up in the mountains. And how do you find soil
Well, that's true.
in the mountains?
So what did they farm?
Well, onions,
Oh.
anything that they could, but it would have to be something simple. Do you know what I mean? That would be easy to
Yes.
grow.
And in relatively small spaces, right?
Yeah.
And then you actually got to go back to the village to visit many, many years later
Mm-hmm.
and to see it for the first time after hearing all of the stories from your mom and your sisters. But was it a surprise to you?
It
Or
was. Actually, no. Well, one thing was, they would always talk about uptown and downtown. It was Gordonamala or Dolomalna, Mala. And I was expecting a big downtown and and then a regular town. And I went there, and it was like, here's downtown, this level land, and then there was a step up and another level of land that was uptown. So I mean, it was hilarious in how they named that, and you'd expect to see so much more.
Yeah, but that's really good that you did get to see it.
I loved it. I got to see my grandfather and grandmother's house, and I saw the fountain, the water faucet. I saw the wood piles. Everybody had a wood pile, and there was a history in every one of the houses there. Fortunately, this man that was showing me around knew all the stories.
That's
and
nice.
he told the stories that I'd been hearing all my life. So it was
Did
nice
he grow
to
up
put
there?
He did, yeah. So I was able to put names and not faces to people and houses to
Yeah.
different people.
And of course, Yaya, hers was an arranged marriage. And was it her father that? How did those get arranged?
Well, Grandpa and Grandma had 3 kids, my 2 uncles and my mother. The 2 uncles left the village as young men to come to America to make their fortune. So they did that, and so she was left there, and my mother was their only child. And so Grandpa knew my father because it was a small village. Everybody knew everybody else. And my father was an orphan. So Grandpa said to him, "I want you to marry my daughter." My mother was upset because she didn't like him. And her only knowledge of him was when she would see him at the water fountain, and he would kind of yell at his sister. So anyway, it was kind of a funny story. But he said, because he has no parents, so when we grow old, he'll take care of us. So Grandpa's reasoning for the arrangement was purely selfish, just thinking of himself and my grandmother as they got older. Well, the poor guy, my mother did eventually marry him, and he went to America.
That's